ladies and gentlemen, Nakiato here, and welcome to another episode of the Heroes Hideout Gaming Podcast, where we talk about video games and all of that jazz. This week I am joined by Lain, who hasn't been with us for quite a while, TheBoot, who is new to the show, LinkBoy, and good old Highsight. Good old Highsight.
That's me.
How you guys doing? How's your day going? Go ahead and introduce yourselves, guys. Lain, that starts with you.
Oh, okay. Hi guys, I am. Wow, I'm getting bad.
Yeah, something
your
went bad.
Fucking audio jumped like a motherfucker right there.
No, that's you, Naki.
What? Oh no.
Yeah, that's you.
Okay, there we go. Go ahead. That was totally my bad. I forgot to click one button.
Way to
And we're
fuck
off,
this
folks.
up. I'm like, shit, my audio's all screwed up now. What the fuck went wrong? I can hear me.
Yep.
All right, hi everybody. I am Lain_1. I do a lot of Firefall streams, and I've been doing tons of different other games. I usually stream like early mornings for most people in my time zone, throughout the week, and then on the weekends too. Pretty much that's about it.
What have you been playing? What have you been streaming, sir?
Well, I've been streaming a lot of the new changes in the 1.7 edition of Firefall. I've been doing Ghost in the Shell. I've been doing a lot of single player games. I've also been doing Boobs and Snatch, or Blades and Soul.
Boobs and Snatch. I like the sound of that. Sounds like a game that I need to play. If I could pry myself away from Final Fantasy 14. I can't do it. I've been playing that game constantly. I can't stop. No.
Don't try. Just let it happen.
I've been letting it happen, and it's so bad.
All the
Okay.
good Final Fantasy stopped at 8.
Whoa.
You haven't played
14 is
14.
Hey,
great.
man, 10. I like 10. Okay.
What's wrong with 9, huh? What's wrong with 9?
Oh, just because they brought back Black Mage?
Wow.
Whoa. You got a problem with Black
Racist.
Mage?
Racist.
That's my main. Besides Scholar.
I'll have you know Vivi had heart, sir. He had heart.
He was a
He's
good
also
guy,
probably
but
dead now.
Sure, he had a
Yay,
big
Lore.
dong, too.
No, Naki. Just no.
No, okay.
We're not even sure he has a face, sir.
Moving on.
Wow. Oh, man.
Well, you never know. So Boot, that's you next.
All right. I'm TheBoot. And I stream on Boot Camp. Currently trying to get Overwatch started. It's going up and down.
It's hard. It is hard with a game that's oversaturated, man.
It's not. Like, people just dropped this week. It's pretty much been stable at about 2,000 viewers. So, I don't know. I'll work on it.
Like, as a small streamer, it is hard streaming an oversaturated game. And
Yes. The first week was impossible.
Yeah. No, for sure. First week, because that's when all of the fucking big names like Elohim and shit are still streaming that game. So, of course, like, that is oversaturated like a son of a bitch. But
It's fine.
Right now, it should be okay for the most part. But yeah, no, it's still a pretty popular game.
That's why I'm working the YouTube front for now. I've just been posting skin guides on the legendaries I've unlocked, and since I'm like twice the level of any streamer, I can unlock a lot of the legendaries they can't.
Good man. YouTube is a good place to advertise your streams and shit. So
Yeah.
keep doing
So
that.
other than that, I'm just kind of working on it.
Nice. And Link.
All right. I am Link. I am just starting up streaming. This week I've been playing a lot of smaller games. Bit of Dark Souls 2. Well, small, starting
So
with Dark
small.
Souls 2.
Teeny tiny.
Dark Souls
That's a
2.
tiny game. It's tiny.
Starbound. Also streamed a bit of Path of Exile and FTL. Going to be streaming Black Desert when it comes out in a couple weeks, or like next week, whenever.
Whenever.
So that's going to be fun. Yeah. So
Let me
just
ask you,
get my channel started up.
How does Starbound compare to Terraria, in your opinion?
It is Terraria in space with a longer dev time and better or worse. I'm not entirely sure. Enemy coding. They just updated combat, so it compares to Terraria in that it changes every few months. So
Right,
the
'cause they're still
incentive
in
to keep
early
playing
access,
it is
right?
because they wipe everything every patch.
Wait, they wipe everything? Oh,
Oh
God,
yeah,
I wouldn't even
they
touch
wipe
it.
characters. That's why I
I-
keep going back so I can see what changes.
Oh yeah, no.
Honestly, I
that's,
wouldn't. That would kill my interest in it altogether.
That's usually how betas go, though. I mean,
Yeah.
fucking Firefall did that back in its early stages. Fucking Killstrain is doing that right now. A
Right, but
lot of
Starbound
games
isn't.
fucking do that.
Starbound isn't.
Overwatch will do that.
But Starbound is
Starbound's
largely single player, isn't it?
it is single player unless you figure out how to make it multiplayer. It's not. I've been trying to set up a multiplayer server and failing miserably.
Right,
so.
but what I'm getting at is it would totally kill all my interest in a game, for at least for getting into it early, if it meant that everything that I do single player just gets wiped every time. That would that'd be rough.
I also don't know why, but your audio is a little bit low, Highsight. Just a heads up.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to try and explain it, but if you want to drop into my stream sometime, I'll be happy to show you what some of the differences are between what the game is now and what it used to be.
Sounds good.
Hmm. So besides that, actually got my highest view count this week of like 5 or 6. First time streaming Starbound. So yeah,
Good job,
bit of a
man.
milestone.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. Congrats.
Hmm.
That's
All
right.
right.
That's good stuff. I mean, I remember the first time I got to 5, I was like, oh, fuck, there are 5 people that think I'm fucking fun to watch. Hooray! You know? So, yeah, no, it's good. Good job, man. Good job.
Yeah, I've been
Thank you.
stuck at 4 this entire week, and then I post stuff on YouTube, and it's like over 1,200 views instantly. It's like, oh, come on.
All right, so Highsight,
Yeah.
it's you.
It is
All
you,
right.
sir.
So, my name is Highsight, and I do indie games. I've been checking out a lot of really great games lately. On Tuesday for Indie Insights, we checked out Rocket Fist, which is a really awesome game that's actually in development, and the guy streams the development here on Twitch. The guy's name's Daniel Sound, or Daniel SND, as he's known on Twitch.
Daniel
Really
son.
fun kind of. It's like a top-down dodgeball game, but the dodgeball players are all robots, and they shoot their fists at each other, and you can hit other fists with other fists, and then they kind of deflect and become opposites. It's really well done, really a lot of fun.
I'm going to hit my fist with your fist, Highsight.
I can't even tell if you were going for innuendo there, or if you just are too drunk to really realize what you're saying.
It's called a fist bump.
It is.
that's
It's
what-
called
yeah,
a
no.
fist bump, man.
It is. It's just you so rarely
How
say
that goes.
but you so rarely say kind things towards me. Like, I'd like to fist bump that guy. I assumed you wanted to go with a fisting joke somewhere in there, but you just couldn't quite
I would have
make
just
it
said
work.
fist you. I want to fist you, Highsight. That's how
I
this.
guess I'm
that's how
underestimating our friendship.
That's how that conversation would have gone. Highsight. I want to fist you. End of story.
See, that's more what I would expect out of you. I'm just underestimating our friendship, apparently. That's on me. My bad.
Apparently.
My bad.
All right, next time I'll
man.
talk about how I want to fist you. I'm sorry that I wanted to make
Thank
it
you.
like a friend level type thing.
And that's how Naki shows his love. We're beyond friend level over here, folks.
Yeah,
We're at
we
robot
are, we
fisting
are.
level.
We are robot fisting level.
But
He fists me,
aside
I
from
fist
that,
him. Like that's how that goes, all in robot terms.
Moving on.
Moving on.
So in addition to that, I've been checking out The Witness. That's what I've been playing in between my streaming. I'm doing more dev streaming actually lately. I've been developing a custom Twitch bot, which has been a lot of fun. Just got the currency system set up. You can play slots on it now. Get some moolah, which is not a nominational because otherwise I'd be in big trouble. But that's not the point. The point is that's coming along nicely. But The Witness is amazing. That's by the same guy who made Braid a while back. Really famous game. Jonathan Blow created it. This one, first-person puzzle game with an absolutely beautiful colorized aesthetic. It's outstanding looking in my opinion, and the puzzles are incredibly tough. I love it.
Yeah,
But
I definitely want to play it, but it's one of those things where like I want to play this, but I want to know more about the game. But the more I know about the game, the less I want to buy it because it's, the more it shows of the things that I need to know in that game.
Yeah.
So I really just like need to steer clear of it till I decide I want to plop down $40 on it. So I've been kind of
it's definitely one of
avoiding it
those
for that.
tricky. It's one of those tricky middle grounds because the whole game revolves around learning the language of the puzzles. They don't explicitly tell you anything. There's not a single scrap of text in the entire game. So you need to kind of learn the language over time. And like you said, if you watch someone else play it even a little, you're going to learn some of that language, and then it's going to make it
There's
easy.
a little bit of voice acting, but that's kind of it.
The voice acting is just these random audio, like you can't even call them audio logs. They're like quotes from famous people, and they have nothing to do with the game itself. And I hate every time I come across one because it's the most pretentious thing I've seen in a video game. It's just literally like some guy giving some quote from Albert Einstein that you probably only would have heard in like a fifth year biographical study of Einstein because no one ever cared about that one statement he said.
Well, yes and no. Some of it winds up tying to the storyline, but that happens a little bit later, and you'll get it when it happens. Apparently, like the Giant Bomb guys, they talked about it quite a bit during their the Giant Bomb cast, and when I was listening to the Giant Bomb cast, they literally talked about it for 2 episodes for like an hour each time, and I was just like, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up. I want to play this game, but shut the fuck up. Come on.
That's exactly how I feel when I click on one of them. I'm like, stop talking so I can just concentrate and play. Because you can't stop the audio logs when you start one. But the completionist in me needs to play them. So I see one, I play it, and then I'm just sitting there for like 2 minutes. Like, just stop talking, just stop talking, just stop talking, just stop talking. They go forever. But yeah, maybe it'll all come into fruition towards the end there. I don't know. What I do know is it's still an outstanding game, and I do love it. I've also been playing Monster Hunter 4 on the side. Like, I'm not streaming that or anything. Love Monster Hunter 4. Outstanding game. Highly recommend it to everyone around here. I know LinkBoy is enjoying it himself over there.
Sorry, I was looking at chat. Which game is this?
Monster Hunter 4.
Yes.
It's
Yes,
amazing.
absolutely. I am picking up Monster Hunter X when it comes out. I am borrowing Monster Hunter 4 from the library, and it needs to go back next week. So I'm already on, like, high rank quests, like rank 7 quests in the single player.
I think I just unlocked rank 6 quests today. I just did my first advanced monster hunt, which was kind of cool, where they had the virus on them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those were neat.
Yeah, it's getting real now. Like, the shit's getting real. It's like you can kind of play the game for a while and you're like, oh, this isn't too bad. And now they're starting to get like monsters are combining with other monsters to kill me. And it's so funny.
See, Monster Hunter is one of those games where like I looked at it and I thought, man, I really like Final Fantasy and I really like Pokemon. I would really, really like this game. So I was always interested in playing it. But I kind of can't.
Monster Hunter is like neither of those.
Not even close to either of those.
It's a little
it's like Dark Souls, except every time you go on a mission, it's a boss fight.
Yeah.
So imagine back-to-back Dark Souls boss fights. It's that awesome.
Well, and then also
That's a
Monster
perfect
Collection. That's why I was saying fucking
No,
Pokemon.
you don't collect monsters.
No, you collect their body
Monsters,
parts.
You kill them and you skin them and
body-
you make armor from their bits.
Yeah, you become the monster.
Ah.
Look at me. Look at me. I am the monster now. No, and that's the best part.
For
Is when you
example-
kill something big, you're like, ooh, what I get, what I get. And then you get to take all their little parts, and then you're like, ooh, I'm going to use all these. It's a game.
So instead of
the
souls,
reason-
you just get like skins.
Skin, bones, tails,
Yes.
feelers,
claws,
wings,
all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
They all have different
fangs.
So
depending
on
Dark
what you
Souls
break, you can
Dark
get
Souls
those
kind of
parts, too.
simplified it in going, here's a soul instead of like, here's a fucking antenna.
You don't level up because you don't level up. That's the thing. There's no.
You don't level up. You build better armor.
Mm-hmm.
Which in a
And
in a
you
sense
increase your
is
skill.
kind of leveling up.
Not exactly.
I mean, when you
they're
make a piece
side
of gear
grades.
that
No, no,
is
'cause they're
higher
side
than
grades.
another.
You're not going to listen.
So there are skills that change the way your character plays, change how you perform actions. For example, there's a skill that speeds up your ability to sharpen your weapon. That is skills are tied to specific pieces of armor.
Why do
So
you
if
have
you
to
wear a
sharpen
full
your
set of
weapon?
armor, then you get you have to sharpen your weapon.
Why?
Yep.
Why?
Because
you're
reasons.
killing things with giant scales and shit. They're not. You're gonna dull your blades.
You are smacking dragons with a
in
sword
real
bigger
life,
than
you would dull
yourself.
your
It's
blade, but
going
why
to
in a
dull.
game do they have you sharpen your weapon?
that's a good point. Actually,
Open world micro actions.
Actually, it's not open world, but that's not the point. The reason you have to sharpen your sword is because the entirety of Monster Hunter it's a very stiff game. Just like how Dark Souls was a very stiff game. They make you go through these crazy long animations and stuff because you have to plan ahead. You can't just run in and be like, I'm going to kill all the things. You got to plan what weaponry you're going to bring, what kind of bombs you might want to bring into the situation. You got to plan, where am I going to lay a trap so I can bring him into it? There's a huge amount of strategy to this game, and it's not just all straight up action. That's why I love it. It's brilliant.
One thing to note, my intro to the game was actually a PSP release, but the first game that I owned was Monster Hunter Tri on the Wii, and I hated it. It felt so clunky, even using the Wii U gamepad, not the Wii U the Wiimote. I don't have a Wii U. Not using the Wiimote, but using the classic controller. The controls were so clunky and so hard to deal with that I eventually gave up. But picking up Monster Hunter Tri, it feels perfect for handheld. It feels like this is as a series that was it was made to be a portable game.
Did they make it for Vita?
No.
No.
Fuck them.
Nintendo.
God damn it.
However, you
it's
can get
Nintendo?
it on the Wii U.
I thought.
No, it's Capcom. It's Capcom.
It is Capcom, but Nintendo seems to have secured the exclusive release rights for it because, like, all of the last. So Monster Hunter 4, Monster Hunter 3, all versions of Monster Hunter 3, and I don't know about Monster Hunter 2 or 1.
2 was PS2, I think, actually.
Okay. But 3 and 4 and X, I believe, all Nintendo exclusive.
Yeah, actually, it's funny because they were all Sony exclusive before 3. They did it for they had it for the PS2 first, and then they did the PSP, and then they did they never did a PS3 version. That's when they jumped ship, I guess, to the Wii U 3DS.
Well, I know the new Monster Hunter is coming out for the PS4, and that's all I really know.
Oh, it is.
I know it's coming, but that's all I know.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
Granted, it's on the DS, and that's all I really care about.
Yeah, honestly, once you get it for the 3DS, you are good to go. It's so great. Because for one thing, you can play it everywhere. It is literally a full-fledged console game that you can play on your 3DS.
You can play it everywhere as long as you have a DS, which I do not. So I cannot play it everywhere.
Okay, I can play it everywhere.
I believe I've said this before, Nick. You need to get one. You need to get one of them things.
Or just a fucking another emulator, because that works too. Because fuck Nintendo. But, that's beside the point.
I don't think they've got 3DS emulators yet.
They do. They do.
They would.
But, so I'm going to move on because we've been talking about Monster Hunter for a while.
But we can keep talking about Monster Hunter.
Yeah, I'm okay with this.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Nakiato. I'm a streamer, YouTuber, so on and so forth. I have just been hanging out with my kids and whatnot, as I normally do, because, hey, that's what being a father is all fucking about. But this week, my friend decided it was a brilliant fucking idea to pick up Final Fantasy XIV. And if some of you may know, I usually approach Final Fantasy XIV as like, man, fuck that game, fuck everything about it. But this week, I just decided, well, it's only $20. Fuck it, might as well get it to play with my friend and see how that goes. I have not been able to put that fucking game down. Like, not at all. Anytime I'm home and I'm not taking care of the kids and I've got like other responsibilities like chores and shit, I'm playing Final Fantasy XIV. Anytime I'm at work and I'm done with my work, I've got my PlayStation TV, the thing that lets me stream my PlayStation 4 30 miles away to fucking work. I sit there and I play Final Fantasy XIV. So I play Final Fantasy 14 at like every fucking turn I can right now, and it's killing me because it's like playing WoW back in the day, man. Like, I feel like I'm addicted to World of Warcraft again, but it's not World of Warcraft. It is World of Warcraft mixed with Final Fantasy 7. And it's just, it's hurt. It hurts my soul. It really does. But I just can't stop fucking doing it. I can't stop, man. But I really like it. So there's that.
Still has
really,
It's
I
like
really enjoy it.
People,
Yeah, it still has a sub.
like meth.
Okay.
Yeah, it has a $15 sub. So, I mean,
Which
Yeah,
is the main thing keeping me from playing it right now, because I've been eyeing Heaven's Ward.
Yeah, I can't
I
get back
kind of
into
want
it
it,
because it costs.
but I want Dark Souls 3 more. So if I have to choose
Yeah.
between the two, and I kind of do right now, I'm choosing Dark Souls.
yeah, I mean, that's one of the things that kind of stopped me for a long time from playing it was like, man, I don't
That's
fucking care about a monthly sub. Fuck that. Fuck everything that has to do with monthly subscriptions. But I finally just said fuck it because it was only $20, and I figured, okay, well, if I finish up this first month of free play with it, then I'll say fuck it and just not subscribe to it again. But here I am a week in, and I'm just like, I can't fucking stop playing this game. I can't stop, man. I might have to put another $15 down on this. So I don't know. Hopefully by the time the month comes around, I'm just like, I'm fucking done. No more money. No, I'm done. Goodbye. But I will let you know in 3 weeks. We'll see.
I played it for a solid 8 months.
Really?
Yeah. And then I lost my job, and I was like, yeah, money.
No, that's a good point. What server were you on?
Hell if I know.
Oh, okay.
I don't
I played
remember
it-
what server I was
played it
on.
since beta, so 8 months for me was a long time ago. Even
Yeah,
though
I
like
played
I played it in beta, so like the first 4 months of the game were free
Now,
because they had such
for
bad launch
clarification,
issues.
which beta are we talking about? Realm Reborn or...
Realm Reborn.
Okay. Yeah, I played it first 1 or 2, I think, open beta tests. One of the first few beta tests, public beta tests going into launch, and I played it at launch, or I guess relaunch. Got into a raiding guild, got to
Same.
a point where I was gearing up for raiding, decided I didn't want to raid a summoner, started leveling Archer, got Archer leveled, couldn't get her geared because no one in the guild was willing to help me and join me in suffering through the gearing up process. So, yeah,
I pugged if I needed gear.
I hate pugging.
Me too, but then I played Scholar, and I was like, who cares? I'll win it for the team.
You know, one of the reasons why I don't mind pugging is because I'm playing on the PS4. So really, it's just like if somebody wants to rage in a fucking in a dungeon and say, "Oh, you're doing so fucking terrible," I'm just like, I don't give a fuck because I didn't read that text because I'm on a controller. And even if I did read that text and wanted to respond, it would take me too long to respond. So I don't give a fuck. So I don't pay attention to chat. So I just really run through dungeons, not giving a shit, and it's great. It's so good.
What I did was even worse. I'd play it on my phone.
Nice. Nice.
That's
That's even better.
I streamed
wow.
it to my phone on the controller on the from the PC, and did my farming that way while like going to bed or
Jeez.
Good man. Good man.
So
It's like a
the
meth
reason
addiction, I swear.
that I hated pugging in Final Fantasy was not because of the chance of having bad groups, because that's always a possibility. It's because I got bored, and when I'm bored, I fall asleep. So the reason I wanted to go with group members was so that I actually had someone to talk to while I was in the run.
I have YouTube to talk to me. It's my
Yes.
pretty little pony.
Yes.
Heart YouTube, man. Heart YouTube. Even all the shit that's going on right now is still heart YouTube. I love YouTube.
YouTube. It's your only option.
Kinda, actually, now that I think
Pretty
about
much,
it.
yes.
Yeah, it's really, really your only option.
You
Which,
could just make it the tagline. No one would object because, yep. But there's Vimo. Vimo can't handle crap.
no, Vimo can eat a bag of dicks. All right, so moving on to the actual show because we've been sitting here talking about fucking a bunch of shit for half an hour. Let's actually talk about the news. So, if you don't know, we are actually a news podcast where we talk about everything that has happened in video games this last week. So we'll start this show off.
Not that you could tell based on our intro.
No, not at all. Not one.
And our random
bit,
ramblings
man.
during these sections.
Exactly. Actually, I'll leave this to you guys. Do you guys want me to bring up the Pokemon article real quick, or do you want me to just skip on to the actual
let's
news?
talk about that.
Yeah, you talk about that.
Okay.
I want to hear your take on this, Nakiato.
New Pokemon announced, Sun and Moon. It's announced. There you go. Have fun.
That is literally all we know about it. Although first thing that comes to mind for me is obviously Espeon and Umbreon, the Sun and the Moon themed evolutions.
It actually makes me wonder if there are going to be other evolutions along those lines for other creatures or other Pokemon. Like certain Pokemon will evolve into a different type depending on certain
Day or
sun and
night.
moon.
Well,
exactly.
it's Nintendo, so they want more money. So yes.
Do it to the starter Pokemon so people don't know what's going to happen and they fuck up their starters.
Make them.
Well, that's what the internet's for.
Make them all Eevee. Make them all Eevee and give them a stone. Just like that's how.
I would honestly like that. Your starter Pokemon is an Eevee.
That's what they did in Pokemon Coliseum too.
Really?
Yeah.
Who
Okay.
the fuck
Really?
played? Who the
Yeah.
fuck played Pokemon Coliseum? Really, honestly,
bitch.
who played Pokemon Coliseum? Nobody played
Me.
Pokemon Coliseum.
I have the fucking Ho-Oh from Pokemon Coliseum. I beat the shit out of that game.
You know, I never
okay.
thought you could bottle up nerdiness into one sentence, but I think you just nailed it right there. Pretty distilled.
All right. Well,
So that's about all we know about that. That's all anyone really knows about that right
that's okay. New Pokemon announced, Sun and Moon. All right, moving on. We're going to this next subject because obviously we know a lot about that one. Next one is wait. No, okay, so fuck it. Let's go into that one. Okay, no, this is a different article. What the fuck?
Uh-oh.
Clicked on two different ones. All right. So Battlefield 5 may take place in World War I. According to EA confirmed a new Battlefield game would be coming this year, which, as you would expect, is currently in development by DICE, but it is yet to be officially discussed surrounding the next game in its iconic first-person series. Today, Swiss retailer World of Games may have leaked some of the first information regarding Battlefield 5. According to World of Games listing, Battlefield 5 is being described as a multiplayer tactical shooter in World War I. And that's kind of it. That's kind of all we've heard so far about that game. Now, seeing as we haven't had a World War I or World War II shooter for like a good fucking 15 years, what are your guys' thoughts on this?
So
Strongly disagree, but a lot of people from Call of Duty honestly are going to be more happy about this than people from Battlefield.
Well, Battlefield
you
had
can't see me
its
right
roots
now.
in 1943 or 1942, so I mean
It's true, but a lot of people didn't like a lot of the original Battlefield people didn't like the Battlefield 4 until it was finally fixed by the other production company.
What I mean, yes and no. So that's talking about newer Battlefield. That is talking about the modern Battlefield. That's not talking about what Battlefield used to be. There's a lot of people that used to play the old Battlefields back in the day, like 1942 and Vietnam and so on and so forth. And even Battlefield 2
and they
to an
know they're
extent.
not, and they know they're not going to get that.
No,
Wait, they played Battlefield back in 1942?
Yeah,
It was
Battlefield
very primitive.
Yes.
You had to actually kind of imagine it mostly.
Yeah, there was no respawn. I mean, if you got shot during this version of it, you did die.
No, if you play Battlefield 1942, you were listening to the radio, and
Which actually, when you were driving tanks, you could listen to the radio, and people that were standing by you would hear what was playing on the radio when you drove by, which was interesting.
It was a simpler time. It was a better time.
It was a simpler time.
Now, as much as I do like the idea that they're bringing back the concept of World War I, World War II era combat, I'm thinking there's one thing that still hasn't been exploited by Call of Duty and Battlefield, and I'm surprised Far Cry beat them to the punch on this. Why haven't they done some kind of a fictitious, like, man versus animal war back in, caveman times or whatever?
Maybe
Even just
because-
man versus man tribal war,
Maybe
That'd be
because
so badass.
Far Cry Primal sucks balls. That's one reason.
I'm just
why.
saying in terms of setting.
Maybe because Ark did it first.
Ark did do it.
No,
right.
it didn't.
No, they
But-
didn't. That's futuristic. This
Well,
is
yeah,
futuristic
that's
with
what-
dinosaurs.
Futuristic past. I mean, like that's like
But what
what
I'm
started
getting at is
first, the
this-
chicken or the egg. Fuck.
If anything, that proves that it's a viable setting to work with. Could you imagine?
How do you
Hey,
implement
who
a pay to win
says
system?
that the cavemen didn't have machine guns?
They didn't need machine guns. You can set up different. Suddenly, you get a spear. That'll only be a
Who
$5
says
DLC,
that
mind
the
you.
cavemen didn't have rocket turrets, huh?
Well, obviously, they mounted them on top of the dinosaurs they rode.
Wow.
Yes,
if you
actually,
if
they
you
did.
thought getting knifed in the back
Mm.
every time in Battlefield was bad enough, the only thing that you can use is spears.
Well, okay, let's think here. So you
That
can
actually
use
sounds
spears,
pretty
you can
badass,
use rocks, you
actually.
can punch people,
No.
jump on top of people
No.
and just beat the living crap
No,
out of them.
no, seriously. As somebody that used to play on like knife only servers, I fucking want that. I want that so hard. But no.
I mean,
fuck
think about
that
it, because
setting,
spears
though.
can work
Fuck
two
that
ways.
setting.
You can
I
either
don't want
stab
that
someone with a spear, or you could throw it. That's two completely different tactics you could take with one weapon that could actually
You can
leave
throw it like
vulnerable.
20 feet.
No, one weapon that you can't reload.
Yeah.
Oh,
Then
funny
you're
thing
down to your
about spears
fists.
and Ark, they
No.
will
I
break.
honestly have not played Ark.
randomly.
I couldn't tell you.
No, we're not talking
I
about
do.
Ark because it's not a game.
Yes, it is.
It's
Okay,
it's half
maybe
a
it's
game.
not. It is an
It's
experience.
it's a walking simulator.
It's a
With a
walking
walkie-talkie.
simulator.
Ark, a walking
It is a
simulator.
walking simulator that is in fucking alpha testing right now on
Ark
on
is a
Access.
walking simulator.
On Access.
Here,
Yep.
let me go
I
get
can
my
find-
my
I can-
T-Rex and I'll walk him over your face.
Right?
Let's
Are you
simulate
not?
that walk.
Are you not walking? Are you
Well,
really
you can
attacking
fly. You
somebody?
can fly too.
Yes.
You can fly.
I've seen gameplay of Ark. I haven't played it, but I know it's no goddamn walking
I
simulator.
have seen
Stanley Parable is a walking simulator.
I have seen gameplay of Ark, and most of what Ark consisted of was like, here, let me collect these herbs real quick. Let me collect this meat real quick. Let me collect this real quick.
No,
and then
most
let
of
me
what
try
I've
and tame
seen
this
is
real
them
quick.
sitting
And then
around
let me
and
walk
talking
another
with each
fucking
other.
20 miles this way to go find this person so that I can find this fucking group of plants and shit, collect this.
But by
and
that
then
logic,
fucking,
Minecraft is a walking simulator.
it is. Minecraft is
it's-
fucking awful, man. It is so bad.
Okay, Naki.
No. See, let's be honest.
So,
though. Ark would be
clearly
more
Minecraft
of a,
is bad
like,
because-
farm simulator.
Minecraft is an engineering simulator.
How many people play it?
Engineers.
Yeah, basically.
Minecraft
Ark
can run on
is
fucking anything.
Very
man.
similar to Minecraft. It's very much more of a crafting game than an action game.
Well, people
But it's
don't
got
craft
dinos.
in that game. They hop into a server and have the things dropped for them by the admin, and then they
My
Make
server
believe.
admin didn't give me jack shit unless my dinos dropped off the face of the earth. And only them the once. So I built everything that I've got.
All I know is in terms of genres, I would not say Ark follows walking simulator territory. That's for Stanley Parable. That's for Everybody's Gone to Rapture.
It's
Sure as hell
boring-
ain't,
It's boring fucking crafting simulator. That's what it is.
Oh,
And
Naki,
you
we know
poop.
you hate
It is
crafting.
not boring.
I watch
Yeah.
any video of
Crafting
that.
fucking
The only thing
sucks,
I see is
man.
walking.
Crafting sucks balls. I don't care who you are. Fuck crafting. I am done with crafting. Just let me kill
There's also
shit.
a side
I'm tired
of-
of being like, let me collect this. Let me collect this. Let me make this. Let me
Hey,
craft
LinkBoy,
this.
you know what game
Fuck
has good
that.
crafting? You know what game has good crafting, LinkBoy? Monster
Which one?
Hunter.
Yes.
Yeah, you got a point.
Yes.
All right, fuck Monster Hunter. I want nothing to do with that. But no, back to
Wait.
So-
fucking Battlefield. Going back to World War One. What are your guys' thoughts on the setting of World War One?
We
I
need
don't
to
give
go
a fuck.
further back.
Boring.
We need to go further back. I mean, World War One. Let's go further back in time. That's what we're saying.
Okay.
Yeah, even if they didn't do like dinosaur times, just something. We've seen World War One and World War Two so many times now. It's nice that they're kind of going away from what we've seen so much, this modern warfare crap. But
Battlefield Roman Empire.
Actually, Dino
Yeah,
Times
I'd be down for that.
Battlefield might be interesting because there wouldn't be any humans. It would just be dinos versus dinos. I know. Herbivores versus carnivores.
I just had a picture
Carnivores
of a
always
velociraptor
win.
with a machine gun in his little hands. I would be on
The only-
board for
the only-
that.
D-Day.
The only problem with going any older in war times is how unbalanced wars were back then. And we've
Yeah.
already seen how well Battlefield handles one-sided battle stories. Star Wars.
Hey, Battlefront is actually a lot of fun. I really like Battlefront. Okay.
It's a walking
got
simulator.
And fucking lasers, man. Don't forget the motherfucking lasers. There's that. Okay,
Hey, you're
so-
forgetting dinosaurs. I'm allowed
so-
to forget lasers.
This Battlefield 5 may take place in World War One on the PS4 subreddit. Has 500 comments, and it's all just fucking comments of like, yes, just fucking do it. Just fucking give me Battlefield 5, like, Battlefield World War One. Like, it's ridiculous. A lot of people want it, and I don't know why. Do you guys know why people want fucking World War One type fucking games, even though we had a flood of them fucking 20 years ago?
Because it was 20 years
Because it
ago,
was-
and
yeah.
the current generation doesn't have that experience. So
Okay.
they don't know what it's like.
It was awful.
No, it wasn't.
It was.
There was a solid period of time there.
The
It was-
market
so
saturation
bad.
was awful. The games
Yeah.
themselves were not necessarily terrible.
I mean, like we had Medal of Honor, we had Call of Duty, we had fucking Battlefield to a certain extent because of Battlefield 1942.
Red Orchestra.
We
is
had
probably
Red
the-
Orchestra. We had like 10 games that were focused around World War II type era, and that's all we had until we started getting into the modern fucking shooter style.
But you can't say that Call of
and
Duty 2 was a
fuck,
bad
man.
game. That was an
Yeah,
outstanding
that's why
game.
Call of Duty
want
2 was
Battlefield
terrible. I
5.
fucking hated that game. I hated that game with everything in me, man. Hated it. Couldn't stand that fucking game.
You just don't like good things, do you?
Wasn't that the
I-
first zombie survival?
No,
Mode?
that was not.
No.
But no,
I think that was World at War. They did that.
yeah, World
at War.
World at
Yeah.
War was the first one where they did that. But man,
That was
Okay.
also their first.
Fuck.
Was that their first or second World War One game? I can't remember if Call of Duty 1 was World War One.
No, that
That
is
was
their
World War
first. Yeah,
Okay.
which is why people really wanted to return to it, and then
Yeah,
all they do
there's
is
not a lot
advance
of World
futuristic
War-
war.
Yeah, there's not a lot of World War One games. That's the thing. It's
because
mostly
people
World
give
War
zero
Two.
fucks. Zero fucks.
The majority of it was World War II.
Vast majority, I'd say. Like,
Probably because most of World War One was guys sitting in trenches taking pot shots at each other
And then talking to each other while they're resting.
while they're out of ammo.
No,
Or over Christmas.
Literally at night, the generals would come out and say, "Hey, we're stopping the fight for now, so we can get some sleep and start again in the morning." And then, since the front lines were only maybe 40 feet from each other,
Mhm.
they would just yell at each other and say, "Hi, what's going on?"
Yeah.
the trenches, yeah.
I
you
don't,
know,
I
they
don't,
didn't
I
have
don't know about
Griswolds.
you, but that sounds like boring as fuck gameplay.
I
Which
mean, it
is
depends on
why
how you
World
do
until
it.
you,
War II is
until you
more
go into the
popular.
story mode, and all of a sudden a grenade launches or goes off next to you as you're sleeping. Best
I'll
intro
wake you up.
ever.
Let me tell you, I remember back in the modding scene for Half-Life 2, there was actually a first-person shooter based around the Revolutionary War, and it used black powder rifles and stuff like that. Some of the most
Oh,
inaccurate
God.
pieces of junk ever, and they purposely made them as inaccurate and long to reload as they could. But you had your what do they call them? The pointy ends on the guns.
Mhm.
The
They had
bayonet.
those too.
Oh,
Yeah.
Bayonet.
Bayonet, yeah. They had the bayonets attached to them too and everything. That made for some really awesome gameplay. And I don't get why no one can look at this and see like the tactical value in making a game based around wickedly inaccurate weapons, needing a lot of melee and focusing on pincering and stuff like that. I think you could make a really interesting Battlefield-style experience out of that.
That
Well,
sounds
technically,
horrible.
Assassin's Creed's been doing that. At least in Assassin's Creed 4, you got the pistols.
God
Right.
damn.
I just want the
Again,
generals to be able to
target-
ride horses.
That'd be badass. Shoot the horse!
I don't know. I think they have a lot to overcome to make the game actually fucking fun, because if you revisit any fucking game from back in the day that had to do with World War I or World War II, they are fucking boring when it comes to pacing compared to anything we have now. Whether you do
People
fucking
don't-
storyline
people don't
or
want that
multiplayer
pacing,
or
though.
anything.
Right, Nakia, I think you're forgetting that those games were made before they really nailed gaming pacing like that. I mean, if you come back to it with fresh eyes, I think you'd be surprised how well you could pace something out.
How much do you
World
want?
War I or World War II
How
days.
much do you want fucking
No,
Final Fantasy VII?
I would like Final Fantasy VII very
Okay.
much.
Okay, how much do you want them to change the pacing on that game?
They will.
I'm actually, yeah, they will, and I'm actually okay with that.
No, like how? But to what extent? Like, how much do you want them to actually change the story of that game to fit the pacing?
doubt
They
they're
won't
gonna
change the story. They'll
Yeah.
change the pacing.
In
I-
And guess
order
what?
to change the
hoping
pacing,
they
they
don't-
will have to change the story. Is
Not
what
as
I'm
much
getting
as you
at.
might think, really. A good
No,
director
they're
can
only
definitely
changing
change.
the gameplay.
Yeah, I mean, if you give two directors the same script, you will get two completely different paced stories depending on their directing style. You can tell the same story with different pacing styles.
Which turns out to be two different stories for a good portion.
No,
No, I'm saying you give them
Yeah.
the same script, the same story. Am I crazy here?
no.
No.
I mean, honestly, we're gonna get 7. It's gonna have the exact same story, and it's gonna have completely different
Split out
pacing.
between
And we don't
fucking
know.
three different versions that, or not three different
Hey,
versions.
you know what? Guess what? We had 3 fucking different CDs.
We
If
did.
it's
We
paced
had
if it's
3
paced
different
like that,
CVs.
I'll be okay.
Mm-hmm.
And you know
I
what?
don't know what you're talking about. It was only one install for me.
That's a good point. Good point.
No,
But yeah,
Tales
we're
of Symphonia, that was 2 CDs.
Ooh, on a GameCube. We're talking about PS1.
Nobody had a GameCube, so we all don't know what you're talking about. Like,
I had a game,
Which is why you don't know about World
Again.
at War.
World at War was on multiple platforms, man. It was
Yeah,
on
but
the
it-
PS2. It was on.
Yeah, and it failed on the PS2. It was only really
I had it on
Looked
the
at
PS2.
on the
It
GameCube.
was terrible. It played no differently from the GameCube version. It was just a terrible fucking game, and I did not like it.
ooh, it's award winning, man.
I don't like World War I or World War II games. I don't find them
But yeah,
fun.
that's the thing about pacing. We don't know what we want until it's in our lap.
Yeah,
Mhm.
which they will have to
people
prove
don't
themselves
know what
in
they
that
want
case.
until they know what they can have.
What I find funny
Uh,
is we're talking about pacing in a World War One Battlefield game because story, Battlefield, pick one.
Well, you're also going to have to consider pacing in an actual match, because that
Yeah,
is a
that's-
thing.
that's what I'm
An
talking
actual
about.
match is a pacing thing. Like, you compare fucking I don't know, what shooters do we have nowadays? We'll go with Counter Strike. We'll go with
Did
Counter
you ever play
Strike,
Day of Defeat,
and
Naki?
we'll go with Killzone.
Did you ever play
very,
Day
very,
of Defeat, Naki?
I did not play Day of Defeat. No.
Okay, because that's a good example of how you can do pacing right in a World War One. That was World War One, I think, even era game. You can do
Okay,
it right.
But,
you just
but
need
how
to
much did
set-
Day of Defeat actually sell, especially compared to nowadays?
Tons.
No,
Tons.
compare it to nowadays, though.
No, compared to nowadays, tons. For the time, it basically captured the PC market for anyone who enjoyed, because that was a Steam game. That was a Valve game. It was huge. I could pull up sales figures if you want.
I
but
mean,
I'm
by
telling you,
all
it can be
means,
done.
by all means, go for it, man. But I mean, I only heard of that game in passing. I have never heard of that game and talking about how fucking fantastic it was. So
Let's see. Yeah, I can't find any actual numbers, but it was definitely very big for its time. And it was actually World War II. It was the European theater. That's why. But I can tell you, what I'm saying is, if you've ever played that, you would recognize it is entirely possible to do an old school, rather not old school, a World War I, World War II era game with good pacing. It's totally doable.
Uh-huh.
And I think if you liked the dog fights in Battlefront, you'll love the dog fights in World War One.
Oh,
It's
no.
pretty much the exact same thing.
Fuck, I cannot stand being in the air in Battlefront. Can't stand it. Hate it beyond belief. I love being on the
Red
ground.
Baron. You'll have Snoopy chasing you.
Nope.
It's gonna be awesome.
Fuck that. Fuck. I can't be in the air for more than like 5 minutes in that game. I can't. No.
Oh, but it'll be fun. The Red Baron will come and murder you.
Nope. All right, moving on to the next topic. The next topic is Sony has apparently 3 patents in the virtual reality space controllers. They have one that has to do with being like a watch that you wear that tracks what kind of movements you make with your hand. One is a glove, and another is a glove. And they all have different types of movement sensing capabilities. One has haptic feedback. Another has pressure sensitive sensors on parts of the glove, so it knows what you're touching and how you pick it up and what kind of pressure you're pushing on it. They have light sensors. There's a lot of really interesting stuff in these designs that they've had up for about a year now. So what are your guys' thoughts on this? How do you foresee this affecting the what is it called? The market when it comes to virtual reality sometime in the next year? Now,
It's not going to do anything.
if you
There's going to be a
excuse
very limited market.
I'm going to go take a
Foreign
leak.
companies will be happy.
Yeah, I could definitely see it really not being... the thing about virtual reality is you want to feel as immersed as you possibly can in the experience. And through that means minimal hardware. And from what was just described, it sounds like you're going to be strapping a bunch of different things on you to make it feel like you can do all these different things, but you're going to feel those on you. And it's going to actually pull you out of the immersion. You really need to find a way to make sure anything that you utilize to get the player into a virtual reality space, it needs to feel like it's not even there.
Well, it's not just that. It's that we're not going to have good virtual reality for the next year and a half, 2 years anyways.
Absolutely. You're right. Yeah, it's
Like
just,
we're going to have to have a complete gaming scene that can run 1080p, 90 FPS before we even get into how to do virtual reality mechanics of shooting, walking around, all that stuff.
Yeah, and that's something that I can barely
Before we
push
introduce
out.
a
This is a
Nintendo
game
Power
of rig.
Glove.
Yeah.
I just
So
want,
all
I want that. I want that
Damien,
commercial.
beat me to it.
I
All
want
I'm
that
going to say
commercial
while
back.
Nak is gone, if this is a precursor to the hollow keyboard gloves of Mass Effect, I'd be okay with that.
You got to start somewhere, right?
Yeah.
So you're gonna have another 1080 display on your watch that you have to look at your virtual reality goggles at your glove to see the monitor. Okay, that sounds weird.
Yeah, but I mean, it's all bleeding edge. We are absolutely on the bleeding edge of VR right now, and we will be there for probably another 5 years, I'd say. Around that time, we're probably going to start making lighter. The biggest thing we got to take care of, and this is going to be the hardest thing in general to take care of for all technology, we need better power sources. Once we get those, we can start making things lighter. And once we can start making things lighter, we can start making them seamless in our world. But until we get there, that's just going to be a tough thing to overcome in general, is the ability to have less things strapped to you. You know?
I don't care too much about that. I don't think they'll get anywhere further than a swivel chair and a controller. I don't really care what a glove has to do about it.
Well, think about it this way, though. I mean, when you're using the Oculus right now, you have 3 wires, I think. You have 2 that are for visual stuff. 4. It's 4. Wow.
4.
Well,
Yeah, it takes 3 USBs. 3 USB
Okay.
3.0s.
So 3 USBs and the of course one of those is for power. Actually, maybe 2 even. 2 of those might be for power.
Which actually is interesting compared to the HTC one, because the HTC one only takes 1 USB 2.0. So I don't know what the difference is between the two, that they're taking such different fucking specifications like that. But I don't know.
HTC has better development.
They are more in the hardware side of things.
They're a phone company. They have
Yeah.
tons of experience in that.
Exactly. I mean, they know how to
Yeah.
make things light and cheap. That's what they've done for how many years? No, so yeah, you're absolutely right. The thing I'm getting at, though, is if we get better power sources, we could eventually get to the point where we could just have the power source built into the visor itself, and then the only thing we would need is one cord for visual stuff. And once we phase that out, we can finally get virtual reality that's fully, truly wireless, and then it will feel a million times more immersive because it's a wireless experience.
You mean like the Samsung VR, like mobile VR, what they're doing right now?
Kind of. Yeah, that's basically true. Yeah, because you're still you're kind of cheating because you're not plugging it into your computer then. But yeah, if you could get that to like stream your computer,
Yeah,
then that'd be amazing.
Mobile VR is something that you really have to just like fucking, you have to not ignore right now in the sense of VR, because they have such an advantage right now compared to anything PC or gaming related to VR, because everybody has fucking mobile phones. The mobile market is such a huge portion of, or like so huge compared to something like PCs and gaming and so on and so forth. So that's always something to consider. But like back to the glove type controllers. I mean, obviously we tested glove type controllers back out with the power glove and stuff like that, and everybody likes to joke about that time that Nintendo did that. Gloves aren't necessarily inherently a bad thing when it comes to movement and controls. I mean, even nowadays with the touch control, or the touch controller that HTC is coming out with, that they're actually releasing with their VR headset, and the one that Oculus is not releasing with theirs, but selling at a later date with theirs. Both of those have some of the same kind of ideas and functions behind a glove type controller would have, only without the actual glove instead of, but you're actually holding something. But the sensing and the motion and, depicting what your fingers are doing and whatnot, they're like all of that type of stuff is in there. Just you're holding a fucking plastic stick instead. Now a glove, I don't know how we would actually implement that. That could go fucking horribly. We'll see. Because you have to think about, okay, well, you've got to wash these fucking things, and if you don't wash them, then what? You can fucking fry them if you try and wash them, and so on and so forth. And then also when it comes to sensing, what kind of sensor do you have? Do you have the lighthouse room style one like you do with the HTC, or do you have the fucking light bar sensors that you do with the PlayStation? And then do you have like fucking glowy gloves the entire time and stuff like that? So it really kind of just like depends on what the market does at the time with it. But I wouldn't discount the glove style, because not holding a plastic stick is something that people would like to do. But we'll have to see where that goes, I don't think the technology is there right now to do something like that. But sometime maybe in the next 5 to 10 years, we'll probably be there. I mean, because even if you look at the Kinect tried to do stuff like that, and they, for the most part, succeeded, but they failed pretty hard in a lot of areas because their games just wouldn't fucking sense those games properly. So I don't know. That's my 2 cents on the subject.
Yeah, I just don't think it's going to matter. Like, by the time we get to consumer grade VR in probably 2 years, 3 years, we're going to have so many other things that have come out by then.
Yeah, I mean, you got to start somewhere, but like Boot said, if anything, this would probably be a footnote in VR history, if even that.
All right, well, an interesting question. where do you see VR in 5 years?
Integrated with AR. I could see VR and AR becoming, mashed together. I mean, basically AR is VR in real life. But that's what I'm getting at.
That's kind of what already what HTC is trying to implement with their HTC Vive, because that has a camera on the front of it.
But I'm talking about with more of, instead of wearing, a giant headset, instead you'd be wearing like a visor or something like that, kind of like the Google Glass that was working on for a while
Or the
ago.
HoloLens.
Something along those lines.
Holodeck in 5 years or GTFO?
There it is.
I don't know.
Then we don't have to worry about the world's resources anymore. We'll have infinite VR resources. Hooray. Hardlight holograms for all.
I mean, in all honesty, when it comes to me specifically, like, the reason why I am interested in VR is because, one, I'm a lazy fuck, and for two, I like being able to look around and experience things in that type of perspective. Now, if we have like these fucking holodecks and we have all of these fucking like running trampoline type things that people are inventing nowadays that you have to buy on top of fucking the actual VR headsets, and like all the wireless ones that are trying to come out so that you don't have to have wires, so that you can fucking move in any way that you want to, and so on and so forth. I am not interested in any of them because I am a lazy son of a bitch that still wants to sit in front of a computer and play games the old-fashioned way.
That's fine. They're going to be split. One, it's running off the PC anyways. And two, there's a ton of game market that won't work with VR. Mm-hmm. Like, if I don't want to play a MOBA VR. I want to be able to see it isometric and see my teammates.
Yeah, I mean, like, are you going to play Smash Brothers from VR? Most likely not. I mean, maybe you can tilt your head to get a different perspective.
I do want to see Street Fighter VR. That would be fun.
Yeah, that'd be
or just
Knockout.
Knockout.
Tits like, jiggling in that game, man.
I want to see Mike Tyson's Punch-Out VR.
I don't know, man. Soda Popinski, he's kind of scary looking up close in real life. Those pixels, man.
King Hippo.
Two things.
Hell yeah.
They kind of did have Mike Tyson's Punch-Out in VR already.
Your mic is super low, dude.
Yeah, they did in the arcades. Yeah, and it worked awesome. It was a lot of fun.
Really?
Well, they had a VR version of it. For the Nintendo VR Virtual Boy.
Oh God! Don't even bring that up.
Did they really
Don't.
have one of those?
They
no!
Did. I had one.
We're talking about the future of good VR here. Let's not bring Virtual Boy into this.
let's not do that.
I know they had an analog type VR in the arcades with Punch Out, and that was just you put on boxing gloves, and it took your input like that.
That must have been slick.
That was great.
They had that for the Wii. The Wii version of Punch Out was awesome. I actually used to do the motion controls with it. Oh, it was so fun.
I'm gonna punch out your Wii.
Well, at least we're back to the sexual innuendo.
Yeah, boy. All right, moving on to the next subject. I think we're done with all this VR talk. Oh no, I lied. We're not done with this VR talk. So HTC Vive is $800 and it's coming out in April. What are your guys' thoughts on an $800 VR? Is this the price range that you wanted? Is it too high? Is it too low?
Well, I mean, this expands off what I was saying before. VR is bleeding edge right now, so yeah, you're gonna pay a premium. No
one thought it was gonna be any lower. I mean, and this is HTC, who works on this kind of technology all the time, just kind of implemented into a streaming service, which is what they've been working on as well. This is pretty much what we were going to get. And
I'm amazed when the Oculus announced their price. There were actually people out there who were saying, I'm just going to wait for the HTC Vive. That's going to be way cheaper. And I'm just thinking, are you insane? Think about all the other hardware you're getting out of that.
I mean, this is HTC and Valve.
Yes and no. I mean, if you look at what you get when it comes to the HTC Vive, you get the Vive headset, you get the fucking motion controllers that come with it, you get the light box thing, and you get a game. And you compare that to the Rift, and the Rift comes with like an Xbox controller and the Rift. So $200 to like separating those two, that you get a lot for those $200.
Do you still get the dev kit with the Oculus Rift at this point?
What do you mean? Do you mean?
I believe the dev kit's pretty much free and built into all major engines these days. If you have the Unreal Engine, for example, it'll have Oculus support built right in. No questions asked.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I haven't looked at game development in a while, so I didn't know.
Yeah, they pretty much any high-end engine, even Unity. I mean, Unity has it built in. Unreal has it built in. You're pretty much golden for.
I'm gonna talk to Phoenix, see if we can get on that market.
There you go. Yeah, the only thing is though, I am worried about the HTC Vive because it's the only VR solution I know of right now that includes a moving part. That being the lighthouse, of course. As computer technology has shown, you try to keep everything as digital as you can, and moving parts are kind of the scariest thing ever because that is your greatest point of failure right there. What fails on computers? The hard drive, not SSDs usually, because they have a spinning disk. I have a feeling that there's.
I don't want.
You're going to find yourself with a lot of broken HTC Vive lighthouses over time.
I don't want my spinning discs to fail because I have a hard drive and I have a soundboard. I like analog. I don't want analog to die. Don't do it.
You're what holds us back, Nakiato. You're why we can't go to the future.
I want to
make the future cheaper, and I will buy the future.
I want to see a weight limit on the lighthouse. See how they react to that.
Well, they're fucking boxes that you mount to your wall, so I don't think it really matters how light they are.
Oh, I was thinking of
the touch controllers that they come out with.
The swivel chair attachments that they use for VR.
You know, I think the only analog thing I have in my home at all is my watch. So those will always remain in style.
That's nice because I have, let's see what I have analog. I have a watch. I have a soundboard. I have a hard drive that is still mechanical. I have a keyboard that is mechanical. I have I have a lot of things still mechanical or analog in this house. And it's not simply because of choice, it's just because I have a lot of stuff that's old and I still integrate it into my system when I need be, you know? And that's how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Yep.
HTC Vive, $800.
I ain't buying it.
Okay. I guess we'll move on then. I'm gonna skip the Kanye West fucking freaking out on Twitter thing and go right over to my boy Deadpool because he's fucking awesome. So Deadpool is close to 500 million in sales. Now, the reason why this is interesting is because this is a rated R movie that actually broke records when it came out. And I know it's not video game related, but it's entertainment related in a sense.
Deadpool is related to all forms of media simultaneously.
Exactly. Now, when it released, it broke records upon releases of rated R movies. It broke the record that was held by what was that fucking movie called? 50 Shades of Grey. It broke that record.
That had a record?
It did.
Yeah.
50 Shades of
Wait, what?
50 Shades
that
of
really
Grey.
truly saddens me.
50 Shades of Grey held the record for being the biggest opening weekend for a rated R movie, and Deadpool beat that. So there's that.
I'm just so sad that was the highest opening rated R movie ever.
I saw that movie on opening weekend because it was Valentine's.
You're part of the problem.
I was a part of the problem,
God damn it.
and it was because I had sex. So I mean, I could say,
was it worth it, Naki?
It was.
The answer's yes.
It was so fucking worth it. It was so worth it, man. You don't even know. I had some of the best sex ever that night. Fucking watching 50 50 Shades of Grey because me and the wife got home and we're like, yeah, let's try some of this kinky shit. Yeah!
I pray your kids never find this podcast.
It was great.
I hope
I don't think they'll care about that.
I hope the
think they'll care
16-year-old
about-
Gabe never wakes up one day and says, I wonder what my dad used to do every Saturday night whenever he would
Dude.
hang out with his little buddies.
No.
It's not even that.
That's-
Dude, I just found out that even some of my exes and some of my exes' parents still watch this show. So it's just like,
Oh, wow.
No, it's not going to be that bad. What would be
Oh,
bad is if they
man.
went, "What's 50 Shades of Grey?"
oh,
And-
yeah, that's true.
And
that's
then,
true.
and then imagine you having sex after that, and be like, "Mom's weird."
Mom is weird for sure. But yeah, moving on to the
You're just gonna
Deadpool.
end it on that for your future kids. It's gonna be Mom's weird for sure.
Yeah,
Moving on.
Yeah, moving
Remember
on.
that week in October?
We're just
Remember,
skipping
kids,
that.
your parents have
All right.
kinky sex when
All
you're not
right,
looking.
so Deadpool, fucking, they're at about $500 million right now. And one of the reasons why everybody finds this kind of super strange is because it's a rated R movie. They didn't expect it to hit this high in this short of time. Now, my question to you guys is, do you guys see this relating to video games in any way, shape, or form? Because I know a lot of video game companies like to strive for PG-13. So, do you see this relating to video games, as in video games usually try to strive for that? But, hey, maybe if they just said fuck it and just went for that M rating, they could sell better than that teen rating.
No, honestly, we've had that problem before, where people said "fuck it" and it doesn't work.
Yeah, I mean, you could say
Hatred.
the same thing. You could ask the
Hatred was
question,
just
what
a
about the
bad
adults
fucking
only?
game, though, man.
But you could say the same thing about the adults only rating. That's a death sentence to game developers. If they get that, that game can't be sold anywhere. So
Well, that's just because of how fucking strict we are here in the U.S. when it comes to adults only.
No, not
rating.
here.
not here. Everywhere.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
especially
no,
Australia.
okay,
Germany,
everywhere, but still,
Australia.
like, adults only ratings are kind of fucked in general, because adults only ratings are really given to games that, if you translate it into a fucking movie, it would be a rated R movie, which wouldn't be that bad. But you translate it into a game, and it's an AO game, and it's only fucking sold in like very certain stores or only online. So that's kind of fucked. But I mean, in general, games that are trying to strive for the PG-13 that just said fuck it a little bit more and went more towards the mature rating, do you think that would sell better for them?
No, I
think-
don't.
Well, honestly, I think it will work for a little while because they'll be breaking that taboo, and that'll actually create a huge amount of revenue for them. But after everybody starts doing it, it's going to be nobody's going to give a shit.
I mean, I would say from personal experience, it doesn't work because growing up, I was allowed to play games that were rated T for teen, but I was not allowed to play M-rated games until I was like, 16 or whatever. But that's the thing, is a lot of the video gaming demographic tends to be kids. And you're going to have those parents like mine that are going to say, hey, you shouldn't play this rated M game because it might have boobies in it. So,
I don't know, man. I think the market is definitely changing the more we grow up, because that may have been true fucking 10 years ago, but now that we're in our 20s and 30s and shit, a lot of these games are directly related to, or directly marketed towards our demographic, our age group.
but how many people in our demographic do you think has the time to play those games? How many
Another thing
games
you have to
looked
look at.
and said, I would love to get this game right now, but I don't have the time to actually enjoy it.
Couldn't give you a statistic off the top of my head because I did not find a statistic before the show, so I couldn't answer that question.
Well, I'm just saying from your own personal experience, I'm sure you must have come across a game or two and you just said, oh, I'd buy this right now, but I know I'll never get a chance to play it.
That's every game.
The other thing you have to think about is what do you have to do to get.
That's every game, no matter what fucking demographic.
But that's what I'm saying
towards.
is you were saying if they market towards us a game, we're not necessarily going to get a chance to play it, so we wouldn't buy it.
Well, that
Doesn't matter
kind
if
of
it's
just
M or
like
T or
depends on
whatever.
person to person, though.
But I'm getting back to that.
I'm a
I'm
26-year-old that has 2 kids. Like that's a young age for a 26-year-old to have 2 kids at.
But I'm getting back to that though when I'm saying that obviously there might be some games that are marketed towards us, but a majority of them will be marketed towards the younger generation, and they want to make sure that their parents are okay with them getting bought.
The other thing you have to look at is what does it take to get an M-rated game as opposed to what it takes to get a rated R movie.
Yeah,
it's a good point.
Like if you look at the Deadpool game, pretty close to the movie. It had obvious mechanic problems, but it was rated T, and it was not far off from the movie, as in violence and innuendos and everything like that. To get an M-rated game for Deadpool, it would have to have nudity or something, just because
I would be okay with
the violence is on par.
I would be okay with nudity in a Deadpool game.
Though. But it can't have nudity. It would have to be like
yes, it can.
Semi-nudity.
Yes, it can.
No, any game with nudity.
No,
well, okay.
No.
In most cases, Witcher is an exception. Like there's a few exceptions.
Witcher, God of War,
Yeah,
any God of War game had nudity.
Yeah, if you present it like they did in the movie, as in like fairly contextual to the story.
Oh man, the movie scenes were so good. The first time I saw a nipple in there, I was like, yeah, look at that nipple.
It's
good.
Pretty much free based, but not like targeted toward the person playing. It's just part of the atmosphere.
I'm remembering the
completely allow that.
I'm remembering the outcry. Anyone here remember the hot
Mass
coffee
Effect?
mod for GT?
Yeah.
Coffee mod for GTA?
Because that was fully interactive.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't. That's the thing.
It was.
It really was.
It was.
Because for one thing, you had to mod your game to even get that far, which means you had to have a modded console. Also, fully clothed. There were fully clothed characters doing it, and it actually wasn't interactive.
They weren't fully clothed.
No, they weren't.
No, they weren't. No, they were fully naked, man.
But I know it wasn't interactive. That was just something that happened.
It was interactive. It was interactive, and they were completely nude. The most clothing that you had during the hot coffee mod was the gimp suits that you could have during it, and that was it. The rest of it was all completely naked, all interactive. And yes, you had to have a modded console, which is why all of the old versions.
I'm looking at a picture right now, fully clothed. I'm looking at a picture right now.
I'm telling you, man, as somebody that had experience with those old mods, yes, it was completely. You could completely have them naked.
Well, anyway, the point is, once that came into play,
the reason
they were
why they
trying to get it
made
reclassified
all
as
of
an
the
adult-only game.
and they did so. They reclassified Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. The old version, which I was working in a game store at the time when this happened, the old version that had the hot coffee mod on it, on the CD, was classified as AO, and we weren't allowed to sell it or take it in as trade anymore. And the new version, which had a new indicator on the front of it, said that, this is the mature rating one, the one that can be sold, the one that can be traded. That one didn't have the hot coffee mod on it. Even though you can't access it with a regular console, and you had to have a modded console for it, because the fact that it was on the disc made it an adults-only game, which was fucking ridiculous when you really come to think of it, because that means that like 90% of the fucking population are never going to see this mod. So who the fuck cares?
Parents cared because they didn't read into what was the problem. The main problem with it was that it was a lawsuit because they withheld information when they flew it past the rating system.
Which is funny because one of the people that tried to spearhead that was Hillary Clinton, which is why in Grand Theft Auto 5 you have a picture of which is why the Statue of Liberty is Hillary Clinton holding a hot cup of coffee, relating to the hot coffee mod, and I don't know. It's funny when you really think that she's running for president right now because it's like, man, fuck this bitch. Who cares? But yeah, no, that's
I'm like, that's just what brought attention to everybody, was that it was a huge government lawsuit that had a lot of attention to it, especially because there was a lot of slander against the lawyer publicly while it was going on to get him taken off the prosecution.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was a lot of ways that it was brought to parents' attention, and then parents didn't listen to any of what was going on. All they heard was that the game they just bought their kid had porn on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they were fine with them shooting cops and everything, but hold on, dick sucking. Wait a minute. Hold the phone. That ain't good.
Well, it had full on penile injection.
I don't know, man. I've been for this past 5 minutes looking for any pictures of full nudity. I see partial, but I don't see any dong. I don't see any tits. I don't know where you're finding that there were non-clothed versions.
There were, man.
Because I see there's animations. Don't get me wrong, tons of animations, but no cock, no balls, no tits, nothing. No.
Okay. The guy who played Harry Potter, he started a new documentary about that situation. Go watch that, and they'll show you the hot coffee mod, talking about it as a mini game with full nudity.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
It's a very bad documentary, but whatever.
Alrighty.
All right. So, speaking of politically correct things, let's move into our next topic. Speaking this week at the DICE Summit in Las Vegas, the CEO of Entertainment Software Association, the group that puts on E3 every year and represents the industry's interest in Washington, said that there is still too few women developers in the business. A report came out that said only 22% of jobs in the industry are held by women. And it goes on to say that is not good enough. What are your guys' thoughts?
Who cares? They can say that about a lot of industries right now that aren't nerdy related.
Yeah.
I mean, the way I see it, if women that are interested in the field are applying, that's fantastic. If they're not applying, then I'd like to know why that is. If they're interested but they're not applying, I'd like to know why that is. I guess you could call it an opinion piece, because it's hey, this isn't a good percentage, but I don't want to know the current percentage. I want to know the current growth in that compared to 5 years ago,
which is exponential.
Right. Because that would be the trend. That would be what indicates to me, hey, it looks like it's on the right track. I mean, I personally would love more women in my field because I work as a professional programmer. There are no female programmers whatsoever in my company. And not only that, in the entire history of the company, there's only been one, and she's long since very gone. But
that's sexist.
Sure.
That entire thing is sexist. You work for a sexist company.
I would just love to see more women applying for programming positions. I would love to not have it be such a sausage fest because, hey, maybe I can find a girl that has the same interests as me. That'd be great.
It would. But that's also sexist to you to think of them as...
Yeah, no. I'd rather have someone with a music interest.
But yeah, I find this fucking story just ridiculously stupid on a lot of fronts. Yes, we should look at the trend that is the growth of how many women are getting into this company, and then we also have to think about is this statistic covering many different kinds of regions like Japan and stuff like that, because obviously their culture does not reflect our culture, the Western culture, when it comes to women in these types of fields. So you really have to take that into account. Now, if you do take that into account, and that is the Western society that only has 22% women, there is nobody blocking women from getting into the field. So if women want to get into the field, fucking do it. Go for it. We're not gonna fucking judge you for it. We don't care. The person that wrote fucking what is that? The person that wrote Assassin's Creed, through the first like 3 or 4 games of that was a female. The person that wrote Uncharted, through the first 3 games of that was a female. Shit like that. I don't care who the fuck is writing and developing these games, as long as these games are fun. Have this bickering between your fucking selves when it comes to this, we need more women or men or so on and so forth in these fucking fields. I don't give a shit. Are the games good? Cool. That's all I give a shit about. So these opinion pieces that are just like, man, fuck you. You guys are just a bunch of misogynistic fucks holding women back in these fields. No, fuck you. If women want to make good games, do it. Don't tell me I'm a terrible fucking person for being a part of this boys club. That's what's annoying me about this opinion piece. But yeah, that's my 2 cents. Okay. Everybody's quiet now.
We told you it was just going to be you getting angry.
Okay, yeah, I got angry. I got angry. I'm sorry.
When he brought this one up, we all said it's just an opinion piece and it's not going to end well.
Yeah,
and it ended in silence.
It did. It's just
you're just
makes
as
me
bad as the
angry, man.
people that reported that piece. Damn it, Nakiato.
Shut up, man. Shut up.
No, you are though. I mean, it just comes down to if the women are not, applying for the positions, then you can't really say that they're being banned if they're not actually applying or doing anything. If they were, then yeah, there'd be a legitimate argument to have. But it's not like anybody's banned them, like you said. They're just not applying.
Okay. Well, why is it bad of me to point out how stupid the article is then?
Because it's clickbait.
It is clickbait.
Yep.
You got baited hard, man.
Is. I got baited. I got angry baited. It happened. I actually got angry baited over this weekend too. You guys remember the popular rock band called Flyleaf?
No.
No.
Nope.
No, fucking nobody knows Flyleaf here? Okay, Flyleaf is a rock band who apparently is also a Christian rock band. I follow their Facebook page for some ungodly reason.
Why do I feel like we're just coming back to a
why.
full circle Naki anger jerk right here?
It is. But I follow Flyleaf's Facebook page, and Flyleaf linked this article that was talking with a
Does Flyleaf hire women?
Flyleaf's lead singer is a woman, so yes, I would say they hire women.
Are they growing and hiring women?
They promote. Okay, that's not what it has to do with. It has to do with religion, but it's the same basic concept.
Do you have something against the lead singer being a woman, Naki? Is that what's happening?
She's a bitch. Okay.
So I called it.
Moving on. So they
saved us the time. You're welcome, world.
They commented towards this person that is the lead character in this movie that's coming out that has to do with religion. She was talking to her kids. Her kids said, "Oh, hey, we don't go to church. Why don't you bring us to church?" So then the actor then brought her kids to church. Well, there was this article that talked about how that was such a powerful and inspiring story about how this person brought their kids to church, and Flyleaf commented on it and said, it's never too late to turn away from faith. And I was reading the comments on this and I was like, man, there's a lot of fucking just like pro-Christianity, fuck everybody else kind of comments on here. I was like, oh, okay. All right. That's nice. But this article was talking about how this was such a powerful thing when the actor obviously was just like, okay, well, I haven't taken you to church. Let's go to church. Like this isn't a powerful fucking thing. And it really annoyed me because it is clickbaity as fuck. and it relates to
okay,
a subject that people like to rant about and stuff like that. And I don't know, like they kind of relate to me in my head. So I'm just like, I hate society. Society can eat a bag of dicks. But yeah,
I
had
will
to do
say
the same thing.
What I say whenever this topic comes up, to each their own. Other people are welcome to follow their own faith, follow their own beliefs. Do not judge others for having different beliefs than you. Do not insult others or assault others for being different than you.
which happens all the fucking time.
All the time. And I'm guilty too, but
That's what college is
Really?
for.
at
Getting
the very
beliefs
least,
thrown upon you.
I acknowledge that I'm not perfect, and I try to do better than that.
All right.
So if she wants to take her kids to church because they're curious, then more power to them. I think that's great. And people really
Boom,
shouldn't be hating.
Naki. Oh, what now? I don't even know.
No, I completely agree. I wasn't saying that I don't agree.
I just need
I-
to break up that silence.
I found the story fucking stupid, and that's why I brought it up in the first place. Okay, moving on to the next topic because nobody gives a fuck about that one. DLC passes can be really dangerous for multiplayer, says Major Nelson. Now, Major Nelson is one of the people that is in charge of the marketing for when it comes to Microsoft, and during an interview, he talked about how DLC passes when it comes to multiplayer maps and so on and so forth can be dangerous because it fractures the player base. What are your guys' thoughts?
It can fracture the player base.
It has fractured the player base in a lot of circumstances.
Yes, but it doesn't have to. I mean, there's obviously good ways to use DLC.
Yeah.
The best implementation I've seen, and I do give this game a lot of shit for its DLC, but even still, the best implementation I've seen that doesn't fracture player base is Payday 2. They did an excellent job of saying, okay, does the host have the DLC? Congrats, you all now have the DLC as long as you're playing with him. That's how you got to do it if you want any chance of having any semblance of DLC that works within an online-only style game.
At least map pack wise, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree. That's actually one of the free-to-play games that I'm following right now called Drawn to Death, done by David Jaffe, is actually following along the same route. You can purchase maps in the game when they release them, and as long as one person owns the map, everybody that is in the party for whatever match they're about to play can play that map. So it doesn't fracture the player base in that way. Now, obviously, a lot of multiplayer games don't do that because, well, they expect people to buy the DLC, so it can possibly hurt player bases. And I do agree with Major Nelson. As much as I don't like Major Nelson in a lot of circumstances, I do agree with him on this particular front that it can, in fact, hurt player bases. A lot of games have proved that this is definitely the fucking case. When you release map packs for specific
Bad Company
games.
2.
Yeah, Bad Company 2. Oh, fuck, any Battlefield game for that fucking matter has been subject to this. I mean, when they released the one fucking map pack that had the Battlefield 2142 style Titan mode on it, I can't remember what the fuck the Naval Strike. That's what it was. Naval Strike. Naval Strike on it. When that first released, everybody was fucking all about Naval Strike, and now everybody's moved on to other map packs. At least the player base that are still playing that game. I want to play Naval Strike. I can't get into a Naval Strike game because everybody else is playing something else. So yeah, it definitely fractures the player base. So that's, I agree. We need to find a way to get away from fracturing the player base like we currently are. But how do we do so with still making companies money is a good question.
I think Payday 2 had no shortage of money, so...
Yeah, but they also had a raging player base that was fucking furious at them.
Because they said they were never going to do that.
Yep.
Yeah, don't say you're never going to do something and then do it.
Yeah, that's the only thing.
That's the gist of that.
That's the only thing.
That's the gist of that. 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 That's the Yeah, I mean, if they just didn't do that, I think they'd be right on track as to where they were before. Probably stronger, even. Like,
Definitely
that's
stronger because
really
you
the
have a
one.
large. You have
Well,
a
I mean, they have rabid fans, and
Yeah.
they just made that one big mistake. But I'm saying if you ignore that mistake and you look at their business practices before that, and they just kept doing that, I think they would have been totally fine. And I think the practice works.
Yeah, if they hadn't gone back on their word, then they would be just fine right now. But
I still
you
think they're
s-
just fine.
You say
now,
something is never going to happen, and then
you do
you
it.
go and do that thing. That's kind of a breach in trust.
It is.
Yep.
So
Which is why you
when
should
you
never
mention
promise
DLC,
shit like that.
when you mention DLC, two things come to mind. First is Mass Effect, and then Dark Souls. Mass Effect because
Neither of those things come to my mind, but by all means, go ahead.
Mass Effect because of the day one DLC Prothean stuff. Neither of these is really multiplayer related, but Mass Effect because just Mass Effect 3. Dark Souls because Dark Souls does DLC extremely well.
Yeah. No, and you're right. Dark Souls does do map packs extremely well. Dark Souls has some of the funnest extra packs that anybody's ever played. But they're more extensions to the gameplay than just fucking map packs, multiplayer map packs that people come out with nowadays, like Battlefield and Call of Duty and so on and so forth, which is more what people are mad about, fracturing the community that are playing the game rather than expansions onto the gameplay such as Dark Souls, or even to kind of an extent Mass Effect even kind of falls under more of the same guidelines that Dark Souls did, because it was single player content that expanded that single player type stuff. Now when it
Worth
comes
noting, I don't play multiplayer shooters, so
oh okay, well I play a lot of multiplayer shooters, and I'm just saying that, like, for example, Battlefront is a fucking killer game that I just absolutely love, and as soon as they start releasing content for their fucking $50 goddamn season pass, I'm probably never going to touch that content because I don't want to pay another $50 for that game. So I am going to be one of those fractured people in that case. And that happens to a lot of people. So the player base, as it goes on, gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller because less and less and less and less of people are actually playing that content that is released, which is one of the reasons why Titanfall for PC wound up releasing all of their expansions for free on PC, because they were just like, fuck it. Not a lot of people are playing. We're just going to give it all for free to try and boost up those numbers. So yeah, obviously it is hitting the market in a negative way, and people need to find ways to avoid doing that. So I agree with Major Nelson in this sense. Yeah. Anybody else got any something to say? No.
I will say you're right that Dark Souls, its content is more along, its DLC is more along the lines of the expansions of old. Stuff like what Neverwinter Nights came out with, if you remember that.
Yeah.
Like Neverwinter Nights, then the Neverwinter Nights, what was it, Udentide? I forget the names of the expansion packs, but that sort of stuff is more like what the Dark Souls does.
Yeah. No, you're right. All right.
Which is probably why I like it so much.
I think that is actually all the news that we have for this week. Are you guys good for closing out the show and then doing an after show and playing some games?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right.
Are you?
So let's do that. We are going to go AFK for just a minute for those of you that are listening live and watching live. For those of you watching the sound or listening to the SoundCloud version or watching the YouTube version or so on and so forth, we are going to play a multiplayer game as an after show. So if you want to do that, you can check out the YouTube channel. If you just want to listen to more podcasts, you can check out SoundCloud, Heroes Hideout, or check out the twitch.tv/Heroes Hideout link, and then you can check out that there. You can also go to Stitcher and check us out there as well, and iTunes. All of those places, which if you check all of those places, if you check in the description, it has the links to all of our channels for Twitch and YouTube and so on and so forth. So if you want to check us out there, you can if you liked anybody in particular. I think that's enough of me shilling out for this episode. And yeah, let's just play some fucking games, man. So goodbye, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy this outro music. We will be right back with you in just a minute if you're watching live. Goodbye. Everybody say goodbye. This is the point where you say goodbye. Say goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye. Goodbye. All
Okay, I love you. Bye-bye.